Listen, it appears we're going to have, again, a split legislative branch of government. And you know what that means, right? It's going to lead once again, if I'm reading the tea leaves correctly. And this time, the tea leaves I'm reading are coming out of the mouths of scum like Steve Scalise and Kevin McCarthy. But what we're heading for are more government shutdowns and economic turmoil. Remember, Republicans, as they like to call themselves, they are not. They are Christian demons. These Christians, and a vast majority of them, I've come to find out in the leadership positions, are Catholic Christians. Oh, my God. But they don't believe in governing. They believe that their Lord and Savior, Jesus, bleeding Christ, is the chief governor, I guess. I don't know what the fuck they believe. I really don't care. Because whatever they do believe, they are manifesting that belief with destruction of the country, destruction of the whole concept of self-governance. Anyway, so it appears that these slimy bastards, these Christian terrorists, are going to come up with a slim majority in the House. And the question is, what does that mean for the legislative branch of government, for Congress? What does that mean? Well, we know what it means. More than likely, it's going to be more gridlock, more brinkmanship, all this bullshit that they have done that has defined federal government in the age of Trump and a little bit before him. You know, these Christian demons couldn't stand the fact, oh my God, that a man who had a black parent and a white parent got elected president of the United States. And they almost lost their shit altogether when a man who had a black parent and a white parent got reelected. So, you know, the white people in this country came back with this filthy pig Donald Trump as the avenging angel. Anyway, this split between the Christian demon-controlled House of Representatives and the normal people-controlled Senate, Democratic Senate, will mean neither party will have the votes necessary to pass major legislation. We can get through it, though. We've got to get through it for 2 years, and we still have this lame duck session, I'll get to that in a second too, where the Democrats can go ahead and get something done before these pissant Christian demons take over. But we're going to have 2 years of insane bullshit where it concerns governing this country. I hope we can survive that. Jesus, God. What you can expect is that the Democrats are going to have to set aside everything that's still outstanding on the Biden agenda, like protection for a woman's right to privacy. The Christian demons are not going to allow that to happen once they get control. An expansion of tax credits for families with children. Christian demons fucking hate children. They hate them. But they like their cult followers to have lots of children because that diverts the attention of the adults who have to take care of the children away from the doubletree that these Christian demons are doing. Also, as was written about by a person named German Lopez in the New York Times, I think this morning, he writes that Republicans are now in a position to trot out an old strategy. You know what this is, right? You know, whenever a Democrat has been in the White House over the past few decades, these Christian demons have started shrieking and wheezing and farting and screaming for reducing government spending. And their argument is that the debt, the national debt, and the budget deficits together are out of control. Back in Barack Obama's administrations, these Christian demons used these threats to block spending bills and make it harder, if not impossible, for Obama to carry out his presidential agenda. And if you'll remember, I realize it's a long time ago, before Obamacare. But these Christian demons risked government shutdowns and economic calamity Yeah, the United States has, I don't even know anymore, what, $30 trillion, $15 trillion national debt. But that doesn't really mean anything as far as the budget deficit is concerned. That means even less. We live in a country where our money is backed by nothing, by the good faith of the American people and the American government. That's all. Why is a dollar worth a dollar? Who the fuck knows? Ever since Nixon took us off of the silver standard? Yeah, silver, that our money was backed by silver. And who was it? Roosevelt, who took us off the gold standard? Hell, I don't know. That's way before my time. But our money is only worth something because people think it is, think that it has purchasing power. So to say, well, we have this huge budget deficit. Oh my God, the sky is falling. Bullshit. Do you know how easy the budget deficit could be wiped out? Now, I, for damn sure, am not an economist, and I for damn sure don't understand the intricacies and nuances and all this horse shit of economics, but I know something, and I think you know it too. And I don't know how I came by this knowledge, but the budget deficit could be wiped out in the next 10 minutes. The way to do it is just to bring the red ink up to zero and just declare it wiped out. All the Congress has to say is, well, there's no longer a budget deficit. We are now even Steven across the board. We're going to start fresh, brand new. Am I wrong? You tell me if I'm wrong. Where was I? So that's what these Christian demons are going to do. Already, these scum are yelping about reducing government spending, right? You know what that means? That means slash Medicare, slash Medicaid, slash Social Security, all the funding for all of it. Now, I know a lot of young people, and I used to put myself in this group too back in the day. But to me, any worry about Social Security, and eventually Medicare, was something that just I didn't pay any attention to. I mean, why should I? I was 45. I was 52. I was 38. Didn't matter. That'll be taken care of. Well, here's why young people should be concerned about this. And young people are the wave of the future. It's not going to be a red wave. It's going to be a young person wave. But here's why they should be concerned. And I mentioned this the other day. Eventually, you, Miss or Mr. 20-something, you're going to wind up sandwiched, maybe. I don't know how things are going to work out, but sandwiched between your own children in your family and your parents who are still alive. And unless your parents have adequately prepared for the retirement, which so many older people have not, you're going to be asked, Miss Young Person, to provide some support, some care for your parents. If Social Security and or Medicare has been cut, it's going to fall on you. Now, why the Christian demons want to do this, the only reason I can come up with, other than the fact that they're sick fuckers, is the fact that this would make people more reliant on charitable organizations, i.e. churches. And then the churches can wield even more control. You want to eat, just like they do in the rescue missions. You've seen the movies, right? Somebody wants to eat, have a supper on a cold winter's night. Homeless people, yeah, come on in, listen to the sermon first. Then we'll feed you. It's an old trick, but it still may work. So this is all politics. When the orange vomit was in the White House, destroying everything, these Christian terrorist lawmakers approved budgets and tax measures that raised the debt and the deficits to incredible highs. So this is what the son of a bitches do with their tax cuts for the wealthy. Their refusal to tax corporations, all this shit that the Christian demons do. And then all of a sudden, red ink, red ink, red ink. Oh, where do we cut? Where do we cut? I know, let's take the tax cut back. No. Let's take money away from Social Security, Medicare, all sorts of social welfare programs. Let's take money away from education. Let's take it away from housing. Just as long as these rich fuckwads get their tax cuts. Now, you would think that we Americans would be tired of being jerked around like this. But apparently we're not, or we don't pay too much attention, because that approach is ready for a comeback. And they're already talking about it. Once these Christian demon bastards get control of the U.S. House. And they're going to use these threats of shutdowns and economic consequences to try to restrain Biden in the last 2 years of his presidency. And try to fuck everything up so that in 2024, Trump or DeSantis or whichever Christian demon emerges from this swamp will have a better chance at being elected president. And the Orange Vomit is pushing his party, the Christian Demon Party, to use these very tactics in order to destroy Biden, which is the ultimate goal. But the secondary goal is to get concessions from Democrats over the next 2 years. Now, let me break it down a little bit. One of Congress's main responsibilities is to allocate funding for everything the government does. I mean, it only comes from taxes and fees, right? I mean, there's no other way to raise money. Taxes and fees, mostly taxes. But these services and programs include Social Security, Medicare, the military, scientific research. And because the government, under whoever, it makes no difference, usually spends more than it takes in, what the Congress is required to do, every year? Is to raise the cap set by lawmakers that limit the federal government's ability to borrow money. Now, who are they borrowing money from? Well, it's my understanding, for the most part, the federal government borrows money from us. This is money we owe ourselves. And the government is of, by, and for the people. So we're lending money to ourselves. And then we lose our shit when we feel like, well, I have to pay myself back. What? Well, I do. I loaned myself $50. I need to pay myself back. If I don't pay myself back, I won't be able to buy milk at the store. What? Oh, I know I'm being terribly simplistic, but can you give me a more rational explanation of this shit? So anyway, both chambers of Congress have got to approve funding allocations and debt limit increases. It takes both houses to do it. Now, the Senate, controlled by a rational political party, if that's not a contradiction in terms, will do it. Because that's how our system works. But the Christian demons, please remember, are there to destroy our system by any means necessary, by any means available. And if they can't come up with either or, they'll make shit up. Kevin McCarthy, who got the demon Christian Party support yesterday to become the next House Speaker if, the Republicans wind up in control of the House. I know that's 99.9% certain, but it's not 100% yet. But McCarthy, this Christian nutfuck, suggested his caucus may be willing to do just that. Stop providing the necessary votes to fund the government. He said, quote, "We'll provide you more money, but you got to change your current behavior. We're not just going to keep lifting your credit card limit, right?" End quote. What the fuck does that mean? Does Kevin McCarthy have parents that are alive? Do they draw Social Security? Do they use the Medicare card? Do any of these Christian demons have parents that are living or ever lived? I sometimes wonder about these assholes. We're not going to keep lifting your credit card limit. What the fuck does that mean? Well, very simply, it's the attitude of us and them. Kevin McCarthy and the Christian demons consider themselves to be us. And you and I and the rest of us out here, the unwashed masses, we are them. And as long as we thems just keep going about our business, keep our head down, don't say shit, just like in Putin's Russia, go about your business, open up your little street vending shops and do this and do that, but keep the fuck your nose out of what I'm doing in the political realm, especially when I decide to invade another country. That's what the Christian demons want here. So, if the Congress, both houses, don't approve these spending bills, that forces the government to shut down. Now, it did that in 2013. Who was president then? Oh, that's right. And twice in 2018. Who was president then? Oh, that's right. Now, during a shutdown, it's not a complete thing. You still get your mail. But some parts of government stop working. It's certainly at full capacity, like national parks. Oh, who cares about that? Environmental inspections or food inspections. Oh, the food industry loves that. What, you found poison in this meat we just slaughtered? Well, shh, don't tell anybody. The government shut down right now. Put this shit out in the grocery stores and fuck it. If a few people die, so what? It's the cost of doing business. My God. Now, Medicare and the military largely keep running during a shutdown because it's understood that the shutdown is being used as a political ploy. But what if it isn't? What if these Christian demons finally decide, you know what, we're not going to fund a fucking thing until Joe Biden and the Democrats, or whatever the current word is out of these suckers' mouths about Democrats, until they agree, no more abortion, lots of tax cuts for the wealthy, and all kinds of shit from the Christian demon agenda. That can happen. Then what? Hi, Truth Seekers. Mike Malloy here. You know, the Progressive Voices Network brings you commercial-free commentary from today's leading progressive radio hosts and pundits, like me, Mike Malloy, 24 hours a day. I'm not your typical old guy from the 80s or the 90s talk radio host, and Progressive Voices is not your typical talk radio network. It's a listener-supported nonprofit with no corporate control whatsoever over our broadcast. So hosts like me, Mike Malloy, are free to rant and scream and carry on about whatever we like. We're often controversial, but we're never boring. Weeknights, 9 p.m. in the East, 6 p.m. in the West on the Progressive Voices Network. Always progressive, always on. I'm Mike Malloy. Keep it lit.